Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli Western Championship here at Thunderhill Raceway Park, March 2nd and the 3rd. If you are like me and don't like the sound of my voice, you can watch this race without any commentary. It's on our YouTube channel. It's labeled the same as this, except it says no commentary. This is a doubleheader for the Trans Am Series Western Championship. We've got the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series also included in this race. A field of 23 comes down the front stretch to take the green flag. That's Tim Barber there in the black starting P1. Troy Ermish there starting P2. And there's the green here at Thunderhill Raceway Park, round one of the Trans Am Western Championship Series. Tim Barber steps out over Troy Ermish, followed by Michael LaPaglia, Bobby Hodges, Rick Wright, and Ken Sutherland as they come through turn one, heading to turn two. On board right now at Ken Sutherland, the splitter cam with Rick Wright in front of him in that Audi R8 XGT, AR Motorsports Audi R8 LMS GT3. They come around turn three into turn four, too wide there. On board with Victor Chopla as they come over the hill. Doing that, what Thunderhill calls the bypass. Look at that, Ken Sutherland getting a little bit wide there as they both, Tim Lynn and Ken Sutherland, get around Rick Wright. It is Rick Wright's first time in the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli, so welcome to Rick Wright. On board now, the Cool Box camera from Victor Chopla as they go over the hill at turn 9, where it's a little bit crazy. It seems like both hills here at Thunderhill, both crests of the hills, there's a turn involved as we go around turn 12 and 13. There is no out of bounds here in the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli Western Championship there. Other series will run an out of bounds. We are not running an out of bounds as we are on board with Troy Ermish. The 510 Parts Outlet TA2. Troy is fairly new to the TA2 series, but has been a long-time racer out of California. And there is lap one. It's my first time seeing Tim Barber race. I've known Tim Barber in the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 series for a long time with TFB, but this weekend he is with Dig Motorsports, and Dig Motorsports wants me to mention that they have other rental cars available. So you can be in a pole setting car with Dig Motorsports, so look up Dig Motorsports. They've got plenty of cars for you, and looking for some more arrive and drive clients as they come over that bypass of the hill here. You can see the cars get really, really light as we can see the input Troy Ermish is putting in here. The downshift. On board again with Ken Sutherland. Behind Bobby Hodges. You can see all the cars, even early on, really fighting for grip in this race. Little split camera action. They come over the hill. Lots of places to get the car really light and also wide, because a lot of the crests of the hills, where you're light, you're actually putting in steering input. Behind Ken Sutherland is Tim Lynn, Rick Wright, Barry Bowes, and Greg Pickett. Greg Pickett just elected to start in the back in his TA car. We have two TA cars in this. Steve Goldman in the other, the orange Corvette. We're on board with Bobby Hodges in the number 88. That's Bobby Hodges right behind Michael LaPaglia. Tim Lynn in that black Mustang. And we've got a yellow flag out, just a local yellow, for a car off driver's right. Rick Wright wisely letting Greg Pickett go through. That's not his race. He's in an XGT Audi R8. And then there's Barry Bowes right behind Rick Wright. Barry Bowes in that Asio Data car. here with Troy and his team. Rick was just with us last weekend at Sebring International Raceway running in the Pro-Am, and now here with us. There's that other TA car. As we see Tim Carroll going out wide at turn 1, flat right tire, or a punctured right tire. Not sure if he's going to get the grip. It has rained here for many, many days at Thunderhill, so that ground is definitely moist. So nice job by Tim Carroll being able to get that off of the apron and onto the track. You can see a lot of mud there on the front splitter that he's going to leave around the track as he goes around, if he can make it into pit lane. Back on board with Barry Bowes. Coming over turn 9 to turn 10. There's our leaders. Tim Barber, Troy Ermish, Michael LaPaglia, Bobby Hodges, Ken Sutherland, Tim Lynn, and then right behind them is Greg Pickett in that TA car. Some TA royalty. Greg has won a Trans Am race in 6 different decades. Unbelievable feat. On board with Michael LaPaglia with Capini's Garage. Michael ran SGT with us in 2022. 2023, he started in TA2 and running for the championship this year. You can see that car off there to the right. I believe that was Lonnie Hostetler there from Chandler, Arizona. Mr. Honey Motion CBD 5th Street Consult Chevrolet Camaro. You can see how light these cars get around on that off-camber turn, just fighting for grip. You can see Ken Sutherland ducking in behind Bobby Hodges there as they come over the hill. And Tim Barber starting to gap Troy Ermish, and now Michael LaPaglia giving Troy Ermish a run for his money. You can see there's a slight left right near the top crest of this hill at turn 9. So they're giving a little bit of input as they come up over the hill and get super light. And there's the battle between Troy Ermish and Michael LaPaglia. You can really see gaps here from these camera angles. Troy's rear end getting a little bit loose. Troy... There goes Tim Carroll there, the slower car, wisely getting over it. But look at this side by side as they come into turn 1-4. Michael LaPaglia over Troy Ermish. Troy Ermish falls in behind Michael LaPaglia. Troy Ermish radioing into his mechanics that they might have gotten the pressures wrong. He feels the car is really loose. You can see Michael LaPaglia going outside. Tim Barber here as they catch the pace car. That is the number 79 of Rob Gordon from Portland, Oregon, in one of those beautiful Chris Evans race cars, the Ford Mustangs. The cars that are somewhere between a TA car and a TA2 car. So they have TA2 bodies with basically TA engines. They can put some body work on those bodies. A little bit more power than a TA2 car. Beautiful machines as we see there. The pace car going by, going to pick that car up of Rob Gordon. And we should be going back to green here. We will cut out the pace car laps. So here they are, lights out on the pace car, being piloted by Bob Pengraff, riding shotgun as Bart Cavallero. So it's Tim Barber, Michael LaPaglia, Troy Ermish, Bobby Hodges, Ken Sutherland, Greg Pickett, Tim Lynn, Rick Wright, Barry Bowes, Jim Guthrie, J.C. Monet, Chopla, Rivkin, and Michelle Nagai has moved up from starting in last position in that number 72 XGT Chris Evans car, the Camaro back there. Look for her to move up. So they're coming to the green, kind of a lazy green from our Thunderhill starter. They come into turn 1. On board with Troy Ermish, 510 Parts Outlet. Troy Ermish just had a lot of 510s, and he's doing the Toyo Tires B Sedan Challenge here this weekend. So the B Sedan set up from the Trans Am eras in the 70s. He runs that series and then is racing in the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 series and the Trans Am series presented by Pirelli Western Championship, as we ride on board with Greg Pickett, the front runner in our TA class. Now Michelle Nagai right behind Victor Chopla as they come over and get light at turn 9. There's Victor Chopla in that Challenger, the number 88, on board. Victor Chopla and Rivkin in that number 21 Camaro are both with Coolbox, kind of a cooling system that they're pulling air from outside and into your suit. It's an ingenious system, proudly built in the USA. You got to look it up, so look for Coolbox, the iceless driver cooling systems. Ride on board with Tim Barber, now into Michael LaPaglia. Unfortunately, Tim Barber's in-car camera system was not working for us, but we do have that rear bumper camera. You can see it just really fighting for grip as they come over that 5 and 5A hill here at Thunderhill, getting very light. Look in the top left here, Bobby Hodges. You can see the telemetry. You can see his throttle input. Love seeing that. And you can see how off balance these cars are. Greg Pickett looking outside of Bobby Hodges and thinks better of it. Ken Sutherland ducks his splitter right up under there. And you can see kind of the ground effects and body work of these TA cars, giving them a huge advantage over these TA2 cars. Troy Ermish locking up the rear brakes there a little bit. On board with Bobby Hodges. Now look to the top left. You can see that telemetry. You can see his throttle inputs. 131 miles an hour coming into this braking zone at turn 14. Bobby Hodges giving Troy Ermish a look, and then there's Greg Pickett right behind him. On board with Barry Bowes. I love that Barry Bowes is wearing his yellow gloves so we can see the input. Look at how much higher up Bobby Hodges' front end is as he sees Greg Pickett coming up beside him. But his front end sits up really high when he's really hard on the gas, and it comes way down when he's on the brakes. And then Greg Pickett taps his brakes a little bit. Greg Pickett in that Jim Weed Ford Mustang Altwell. Pickett Racing Ford Mustang. And look at that, Michael LaPaglia right behind Tim Barber now. Tim Barber was telling me that he and Michael LaPaglia have different rear suspension setups. Tim Barber is running with Dig Motorsports, like a Panhard bar. Here's Michelle Nagai and that beautiful Chris Evans XGT machine. Michelle Nagai has run a TA car with us, a TA2 car with us, but she thinks these XGTs of Chris Evans just really suit her driving style, and she was starting from the back and has already worked her way up into the top 10. We ride on board with Victor Chopla, like I said, one of the founders of the Coolbox Iceless Driver Cooling Systems. Check them out. And this battle for first really heating up. Michael LaPaglia there in that beautiful red, white, and blue Ford Mustang with Papini's Garage. Always the most well-dressed team in the paddock. We appreciate that. Now you can see Greg Pickett has moved his way all the way up into the overall third position, taking totally different lines. Michael LaPaglia kind of looking outside, seeing if he can do an over-under, but his car kind of gets away from him. Then this turn two, you can see everybody kind of taking different lines. Some do almost a double apex, and some kind of go midway through late apex. There's no right or wrong. It's basically whatever your car's feeling. Then a really off camber turn three. Very difficult. From that splitter cam, you can really see the cars just fighting for grip. Now on board with Greg Pickett, currently overall P3, moving his way up from the rear. Looks like he's got the Sonoma track map there on his right. And if you're used to seeing Thunderhill and not used to seeing green grass, it is early March and we have had a lot of rain here. Bobby Hodges locking it up right behind Troy Ermish. And then back on board with Ken Sutherland. You can see they're throwing up all kinds of dirt now inside Ken Sutherland's car. That is the rear of Troy Ermish's number 38 car. Back on board with Bobby Hodges right behind Troy Ermish is Greg Pickett, trying to make the pass as Michael LaPaglia try to duck under him and get that drafting advantage. Can't hold it. And now Greg Pickett 2 for 1 going into turn one. Followed by Tim Barber, followed by Michael LaPaglia. And this is multi-class racing here. We've got TA, TA2, XGT, and GT. David Hampton, our lone GT driver from Bend, Oregon, the AR Motorsports Porsche Cayman GT4 CSMR. Beautiful car. On board with Greg Pickett. Greg Pickett going hot here into turn 6 and gets it in the grass. Can he hold? No, he loops it. Ooh, that's scary. He's coming back on the track surface. Bobby Hodges just narrowly avoids hitting Greg Pickett. Look out coming through the exit of turn 6 to 7. Greg Pickett's on the side of the road, driver's right. Not sure if Greg can get it fired up or if that's going to cause a full course caution as we ride on board with Ken Sutherland over turn 9. You can see how loose they're getting coming up over that. That's Kyle Kelly, Jim Guthrie, Michelle Nagai. Here they come to the starter stand. Still no full course yellow for Greg Pickett, but I think we can see it there in the background as we ride on board Ken Sutherland splitter cam. See all the dirt that the other cars are throwing off. The tire rubber. Now on board with our leader, Tim Barber, overall leader and leader in the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 series. Michael LaPaglia just right behind him. You can see, look at that, how light they get coming over that hill. Almost zero traction for a second. And then the shocks compress, giving you almost too much traction. And there's Greg Pickett still on the side of the road. Oof, right near the apex. Look at all that grass that's come up as well. Just every lap here can be different conditions, different traction. You can see that Michael LaPaglia, it is a cold day, has basically taped up his whole grill and is using the splitter grill underneath that front bumper as his air intake. that's Tim Carroll there, lap traffic coming through. Tim Carroll had a blown tire, but look at this. They split Tim Carroll. That's got to be scary. And Michael LaPaglia still can't get the better of it. Goes off a little bit driver's right, just trying to get around and not only avoiding Tim Barber, but trying to figure out how he can get a wheel in there. You can see that Tim Barber with that Panhard bar is a little bit better on the left-hand turns, and Michael LaPaglia seems to be a little bit better on the right-hand turns. And Bobby Hodges has worked his way up right behind Michael LaPaglia. I believe Bobby Hodges has the fastest car out there right now in this group. And that's Ken Sutherland, the first TA2 Camaro in the field. Ken Sutherland with Kahlberg Racing, Wyatt Fire Chevrolet Camaro, as we're on board with Bobby Hodges, the Garage Row racing car. Bobby Hodges is actually in the number 54. His graphics said 88. Here is Ken Sutherland. That left-hand turn over 9. The cars get real light. You can see how many times they have to downshift and upshift. This is a very technical track. Look at that. Michael LaPaglia getting really loose. I don't think that's car setup. I think that's him giving it everything that he's got. Don't know if he's trying to catch the leader or keep Bobby Hodges from behind him. That's Bobby Hodges there. Looking inside, a little bit different radiator setup. He's got a full open grill and full open under the bumper intake, air intake into the radiator. You can see that LaPaglia prefers that kind of late apex into one, and Bobby Hodges and Tim Barber kind of the traditional apex. Bobby Hodges, the NATC Ford Mustang. There's Jim Guthrie, always brings out beautiful cars here with us in Trans Am or SVRA, followed by Michelle Nagai. So Michelle Nagai really moving up in her XGT car. Nagai racing Berkeley Jet Drive Chevrolet Camaro. And there's Ken Sutherland. We've got some live timing from the cameraman there in the bottom left. You can see there. The low-budget way of doing live timing. Tim Barber, Michael LaPaglia, Bobby Hodges, Ken Sutherland. This battle, first through fourth, is really heating up. $115, $120, $130, $35, $37 miles an hour there from Bobby Hodges. As we see Michael LaPaglia kind of just, I think, just trying to spook Tim Barber enough to let him look in his mirror and maybe miss one of his points. This is the best look he's had so far going into one. Ducks out wide. But a little bit later on the brake, a little bit different line, and Tim Barber's got him up. So you can see here is another left-hand turn that Michael LaPaglia seems to struggle with, and then should have an advantage on this right-hand corner, which is an off-camber right-hand turn. Look at that. Ken Sutherland, Bobby Hodges really giving a look. And we've got a pass, it looks like. Ken Sutherland around Bobby Hodges there on that off-camber right-hander. Turn 3 to 4. So that's for podium position from Ken Sutherland. Ken Sutherland, Kahlberg Racing, Wyatt Fire Chevrolet Camaro, and Bobby Hodges in that NATC Ford Mustang. This is really shaping up to be a fantastic Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series Round 1 race here at Thunderhill Raceway Park in Willows, California, about an hour and a half north of Sacramento. This is an absolutely beautiful facility. Started about 30 years ago. Ooh, look at that, Michael LaPaglia right behind Tim Barber again. Let's see if he can get a little bit better off here at 15 so that he can make a run. Trying to stay in that draft. Looking outside. You can cross the blend line here if you're on the racetrack, but you cannot if you're exiting pit lane. So that is our battle from first to fourth. Michael LaPaglia smoking the brakes, as does Ken Sutherland. You can see how much they really have to work the wheels. The cars get light and then land, and then that right input. You can see Ken tries to keep the wheels straight as they come up over the hill, and then hard into the right input as the car compresses. There's Victor Chopla there in that number 88. From Agora Hills, California, that Cool Box Dodge Challenger on board there. I love watching the foot cam there in the bottom right. This is Victor Chopla and his partner, Rivkin, Matthew Rivkin's first time in the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli Western Championship, so welcome to them. And J.C. Monet, kind of new to the TA2 Series out there in that beautiful red TA2 car. The B-Bar Ranch Killer Shrimp Chevrolet Camaro of J.C. Monet. But back on board with that second place car, really fighting to figure out a way ahead of Tim Barber. You can see, though, like Tim Barber was telling me, Michael LaPaglia does have some kind of an advantage in these right-hand turns. Tim Barber going back and forth, trying to kill the draft of Michael LaPaglia. It looks like Ken Sutherland is somewhat gaining, and Michael LaPaglia just struggling with those left-hand turns here at Thunderhill. Now tomorrow is race 2 of the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 Series, so we'll see if LaPaglia can figure out something on these left-hand turns, or maybe next year. As they come up over the hill, looks like Kyle Kelly is locked up there at the top of the hill, but safely out of the way. Unfortunate for him. Kyle Kelly from Huntington Beach, California. The PK plus K Properties UPRacing.com Ford Mustang. And somebody else off there at the driver's left. I think that was Rob Gordon. Double yellows. All right. So double yellow there. I think there's just too many cars off for the stewards to feel safe. I agree with that. Tim Richter, our race director up in the tower, calling a great race. His wife Misty runs pit lane for the Trans Am Series. So it's kind of a family affair out here. There's Steve Goldman going by. Then pace car allowing for the safety vehicles to come out, and then Bob Pengraff and Bart are going to come out in that pace car. Bob Pengraff, my hero of the race, actually came out here to take photos and do tech for the SVRA series, and our pace car driver couldn't make it through the mountains because of all the snow, so Bob and Becky were using their Civic, and he's our pace car.
When they take the restart, they will be at 14 laps.
We have Tim Barber first, Michael LaPaglia second, Ken Sutherland third, Bobby Hodges fourth, Barry Bowes fifth, Troy Ermish sixth, Michelle Nagai, the first of our XGTs, in seventh, Jim Guthrie, JC Monet, Victor Chopla, and Rick White, the second of our XGTs. Sorry about that. The cameraman pronounced that wrong. It's Rick Wright. But that's the old school, I guess, low budget way to do live timing and scoring. As lights are out on the pace car and we're about to go back to green. Now green restarts are single file. They will wave the green flag on our leader. Look at that. You can see that they are really right behind each other. And those cones there are the starting zone. So the leader can take off anywhere in those cones, or he can wait for the green flag, as it looks like Bobby Hodges ducks out. 2 by 2 going into turn 1. Bobby Hodges has it over Ken Sutherland. That beautiful NATC Ford Mustang of Bobby Hodges. What a great move. And then Troy Ermish, Barry Bowes. But there's the splitter cam of Ken Sutherland almost getting underneath Bobby Hodges. And you can really see how off-camber this right-hander is. A little touch. It looks like a little bit of a touch, but Bobby Hodges might have been getting a little bit loose. I got to commend the safety corner worker there in turn 3. He had that Johnny on the spot with that yellow flag. Nice job. And Bobby Hodges falls back all the way to the rear of the field, but was able to get that fired back up. But not sure what's going to happen there. He was off balance, and a slight touch from Ken Sutherland. There's both of our Cool Box founders there, Matthew Rivkin and Victor Chopla, kind of racing as a team. The Cool Box iceless driver cooling system. So as we get deeper in, we don't need cool systems this weekend, but as we get deeper in, we definitely will. And there's the leader, Tim Barber, getting one of the biggest gaps we've seen so far on LaPaglia. And then with that little nudge there, Ken Sutherland fell back, and Troy Ermish right behind Ken Sutherland now. Look at the driver inputs as he shifts. Ken Sutherland getting a little bit wide. Coming into 15. Troy Ermish kind of doing that side draft that Troy Ermish knows well from his kind of cup racing days and late model days. So the battle for podium here with Troy Ermish and Ken Sutherland. You can really see the gaps, and looks like Troy's a little bit better on the brakes, but Ken is a little bit better on the gas there. As the leader, Tim Barber, comes up over the hill. Kyle Kelly still left out to dry there at the top of the hill. Sorry about that, Kyle. We right on board Barry Bowes as he slams down. Barry Bowes in the Axio Data TRB Autosport Ford Mustang. There's Matthew Rivkin. And then Michelle Nagai has moved all the way up, just ahead of Jim Guthrie. So Michelle Nagai, the first now in our XGT, looks like she's in 5th place overall. Sorry about that. I think 6th place. And Barry Bowes gets super loose there. You can see his tire marks. So Barry Bowes currently in 5th place, and it looks like Michelle Nagai might be able to come and get him. Was Barry able to? Unbelievable effort from the ICO data driver there, Barry Bowes, being able to collect it. Don't know how he did that. You can see the tire marks that he left there, and Michelle Nagai, she's got the power to be able to overtake here in the XGT car, but the TA2 car, Barry Bowes just holding it, and then Jim Guthrie, 3 Indy 500 starts in his career, just having fun racing with us in the TA2 series. So we welcome Jim back to the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 series. He raced with us the last couple seasons. Great to have him here. Always brings out beautiful cars, but this Michelle Nagai-Barry Bowes battle, Michelle Nagai, you can see her steering wheel input there as she almost looks up over that hill to see if there are a lot of blind spots here at Thunderhill. Michelle Nagai doing really well in the Nagai Racing Berkeley Jet Drive Chevrolet Camaro. There's Ken Sutherland, pretty big gap to Troy Ermish. So the field's starting to spread out, but there is that battle. Barry Bowes, Michelle Nagai, and Jim Guthrie. Michelle Nagai first in our XGT with those Chris Evans cars. And then there's Greg Pickett. So somehow Greg Pickett got towed back, and Stevie Dix fixed something in the wiring and put Greg Pickett back out there. And look, oh no! Oh, Jim Guthrie loses control there at 12, hits the wall at 13. But as these cars were made, didn't puncture the fuel cell. And here comes the red flag. So the starter stand is putting out the red flag, which means drivers are to come to an immediate stop. That was hard impact. So Tim Richter's calling red flag, meaning the drivers need to come to an immediate stop at the next corner worker station. And the reason they do that is so when they do come to a stop, in case there is any trouble, the corner worker can assist them in their trouble. So you can see all three of those cars doing exactly what they're supposed to do. There's Tim Lynn in that black, and then you can see quickly to the scene. That was a hard impact.
So here's what we have with 11 to go. It looks like we've got Tim Barber, Michael LaPaglia, Ken Sutherland, Troy Ermish, Barry Bowes, Michelle Nagai, all the way up to 6th, starting at the rear in her XGT car. Then JC Monet, somewhat new to the Cube 3 Architecture TA2 series, doing really well in 7th. Tim Lynn, the Lintimidator, 8th. Victor Chopla, 9th. Matthew Rivkin, 10th. And Rick Wright, 11th. Pace car coming into pit lane.
I don't know why that cameraman is struggling to say Rick Wright, but he is. But thank you for that update there from the Colge cameraman at turn 1. It's about 46 degrees Fahrenheit here on this day as they come in to take the green. That was a very late green from the starter, but I'm sure that's Tim Barber's fine with that. Works to his advantage. Look at that. As the Lintimidator over Chopla. I believe Kyle Kelly is a lap down in that number 80 car. We ride on board with Michelle Nagai right behind Greg Pickett. Greg Pickett is 2 laps down, but just out there, just kind of shaking it out for the season. Ooh, as they get real light over that hill here as we ride on board with currently P2. Michael LaPaglia, Papini's Garage Racing, LaPaglia Racing. The Fast Auto Howe Ford Mustang. You can hear there that he was kind of getting on his limiter. Just right on the edge of these cars. And Ken Sutherland right behind LaPaglia, and then Troy Ermish behind Ken Sutherland. So that's our top 4. Tim Barber, Michael LaPaglia, Ken Sutherland, Troy Ermish. Then Barry Bowes, who was with us just last weekend at Sebring, on board with Ken Sutherland. McCallberg Racing, Wyatt Fire, Chevrolet Camaro. Ooh. It's a different line there through 14 for LaPaglia. Wait, did I just see Jim Guthrie back out there? Yeah, Jim Guthrie is back out there after that incident, which, you know, knowing his IRL Indy 500 days, that accident probably wouldn't even rank in his top 20 worst accidents, but he's back out there, so unbelievable there for Jim Guthrie. In that Guthrie's Garage Ford Mustang out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, mixing it up with the Unser family out in Albuquerque all the time, so Jim Guthrie, Iron Man out there, just making it work. Because I got to say, in our National Series, that shunt would have probably made any driver from our National Series say, no thank you. But somehow they taped that thing up and went back out there and restarted. So, way to go, Jim Guthrie. We ride on board second place, Michael LaPaglia. Let's see if he can do anything in the late stages of this race. LaPaglia going out a little bit wide. It's a pretty severe, like 30-degree angle, that turn 14, and then turn 15 is like a 60-degree angle. There's the white flag. So last lap, and Michael LaPaglia almost side by side with Tim Barber here. Last lap, let's see what he can do. You can see there's a little bit of grass on his front grille, but that shouldn't matter with the temperatures here. Michael LaPaglia getting a good run. So is Ken Sutherland right behind him. This is the battle for first, second, and third, ladies and gentlemen. Ford, Chevy. Now he comes to that right-hander that LaPaglia thinks he might have an advantage on. You can see they're really getting loose. These Pirelli P0s just fighting for grip. The concrete asphalt is cold, and they are loose. You can see the input that Ken Sutherland's having to put in where the cars get light and squirrely here. This is a high-speed corner, 130-mile-an-hour corner, down to 110-mile-an-hour corner. We're going to get loose here at turn 9. We're coming up to Ken and Michael LaPaglia's last few chances here on Tim Barber. Right on board with Michael LaPaglia, currently in second place. Last two corners to make it up. I think he's a little bit too far behind, but goes hard onto the brakes. Late braking, avoids hitting Tim Barber. Don't think he's got the drive off of here. Let's see. So they come to the checkered flag. Checkered flag is out, but that is the finish line. Looks like it's Tim Barber, Michael LaPaglia, Ken Sutherland, Troy Ermish, Greg Pickett was 2 down, Barry Bowes, Michelle Nagai, Tim Lynn, JC Monet, Chopla, then Rivkin, then Rick Wright. Doing really well on his first outing, Rick Wright, in that mixed group of that Audi R8, so congratulations to him and his whole team. Then there goes Tim Carroll. David Hampton finishing with those blinking lights in that beautiful Porsche. Steve Goldman first in TA. So just a great job. There goes Bobby Hodges.
Way to go, dude.
Let's talk to the drivers. We'll send it down to pit lane.
He was trying that outside under on you and one, and even pinching, you'd walk away from
So I
him.
think that's probably the
Awesome.
difference. I'd assume he has a Watts link. Like, I'm a little better than him on the left, and he's a little better than me on the right. So I'd hustle it in 1 and 8, and that's the gap I'd get every time. How's my hair?
Tim Barber, from flag to flag, somewhat flawless from you, but man, it wasn't easy.
No, Mike kept me honest the whole time. Figured out something about brake bias that's why I was going south after the restarts. The yellows really saved me because I was a little bit better than him on the restarts. Maybe he's running lower pressure or something, I don't know, but kept me honest.
Your battle always for second, third, fourth, fifth. Unbelievable. How was it?
It was great. It was great. We threw some stuff at it right there at the end, or just before the race, and weren't happy with the car in qualifying. Boy, it worked. So, yeah, congrats to Tim Barber and to LaPaglia. They both ran a great race. Unfortunately, I couldn't quite get up to them, and yeah, it was. Tomorrow, we'll see.
LaPaglia, you did everything you could do, but when the person in front of you runs a flawless race, it's really difficult.
Oh yeah, no, totally. He drove a great race. I was on him, and he knew where to drive defensive, and he did a great job doing that. It's just nothing I could do. I tried everything. You know, it was kind of the yo-yo effect, and when I had to get close to him, he was able to block me in those areas, and it just never happened. So we'll try again tomorrow.